brain didn't record any of that. So it was the other self. Again, that's what we're saying. That's the model, the near-death experience, is that consciousness is not just with, our conscious awareness may be in part related to our brain, but there is another part, a part that can dissociate from the organic brain and have full experiences, very rich experiences, sensory experiences that, as far as we know, only the brain can do.
Right. I know that case you were talking about, Pam Reynolds, in 1991, when she had the surgical procedure from the aneurysm, and all psychological hallucinations were ruled out once the brain was drained.
Yeah, with hallucinations, we can see the temporal lobe activity. When a person is having hallucinations, if they're auditory, we can see the auditory association cortex light up. If it's visual, we can see the visual cortex. We can see that activity. We can see it. All right, you can't hide it. The brain can't be electrically active and be invisible to our knowledge. All right. Now, all right, there was no brain activity.
Right.
There was nothing there.
Right.
So I mean, here's a case where either she secretly snuck, before her surgery, she snuck onto a computer somewhere and found out, and then said, okay, this is what happens in the surgery, and they'll probably talk about this because I hired a private investigator to spy on the doctor so I can figure out what they're going to talk about tomorrow.
Right.
Unless you imagine some kind of crazy conspiracy, then she came out of her body.
Right. Right. Well, I know that you have some information that you want to share with us. It's on a slide projection, and then you have some video clips that you want to share with us, and we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And but again, I wanted to just kind of go over some other information about the near-death experience and the different types of people that have them. I mean, even people that have attempted suicide did so and then shared the experience of the near-death.
Yeah, there's a lot of those, yeah. That's not unusual at all.
What are some other cases that you've seen? Because I know you've mentioned you've been in your profession of psychiatry over 30 years? How long has it been?
Well, I started out, my PhD was in experimental pathology, and after that I was a genetics professor at Eastern Michigan for a while. And then I went back to medical school, got my medical degree from Michigan, and then did radiology residency training at Beaumont, and then switched into psychiatry. So in psychiatry, I've been with that since 1996. So
very happy with that. Well, how about we just kind of get started with with the information that you brought with us?
Well, what I was going to approach the topic a little bit differently than I have before, because I've talked about this subject with audiences in the past, and I've been on the radio talking about it. And it's not, again, I don't consider myself a near-death expert, because it just happens to be that I came across a lot of these cases, and after a while I started asking about it, and so I have a lot of anecdotal reports, and some are extremely convincing. All right, and I just wanted to share some of those. But basically I want to talk about it in the context of what we see happening in the West, and that is the rise of evangelical atheism. And it's really gaining a foothold and becoming very popular among young people in this country and certainly in Europe. And what they're saying is that not only is there no evidence for a supreme deity or a spirit, but if you believe that, you are immoral and stupid. And I take offense at it. And there are some one of the problems is, as a psychiatrist, one of the things that in working with people, especially in a therapy type of situation, one thing I stress is that as a human, you have 5 psychological needs. And if your brain senses that any one of these 5 needs is not going to be met, you are at high risk of experiencing depression, anxiety, or both. The first thing that humans need is a sense of love and belonging. You need a sense that somebody cares about you, that somebody wants good for you, that they really care about, even if you're not paying them, that there's a family kind of a bond there, that you feel you belong there. Number one most important need. If infants don't experience any type of affection, they die. The mortality rate's about 100%. Okay? And as we get older, it's still very important. Now, the number 2 need is purpose. Now, there are 2 kinds of purpose. There's purpose with a little p and purpose with a big P. Purpose with a little p is a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It's like having a job, working toward a career that you believe in, working toward an education, raising a child. You're doing something that you believe is working toward a better future. We need that. Not having a job is depressing. You know, I went one summer where I was working through college and I got mono and I couldn't do anything. I sat home and watched soap operas. I hated it. To this day, I can't stand the sound of soap operas or game shows because it reminds me of not having a job. All right, you need to get a sense that you're going somewhere. All right, that's purpose of the little p. Purpose of the big P is a little bit higher. Purpose of the big P starts to kick in as you get a little older, and that's to do with your sense of objective purpose. Do you feel that you were born for a reason? Do you have any type of mission in life? And really, that's between you and God. I mean, do you have any type of divine calling? Is there something that you can do to really contribute down here, and it's uniquely yours? Is there some type of divine mission? And if you have that, it becomes important because people who have that are emotionally very stable. These are people you don't see committing suicide. My worst suiciders, in my experience, my worst suiciders are the ones who have difficulties in this area. They don't have any sense of purpose. You see, as we get older, we don't expect that we're going to go through the pain and the loss and the shame and the diffiticalities that are inherent in normal life. And then you get to go through aging and you lose everything you had.
Right.
You know, I mean, you watch your face go and your body, you know, it's terrible, right? And so as you go through these losses and you hit the relationship problems and kids and all these horrible, bad things happen, and there are good things too, but your body's going as you get older. How do you deal with loss like that? If you have a sense of divine mission, it's okay.
Self-worth.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it. But having a sense of mission says, you know what, I've got to go on because there's something important for me to do here, and it's worth it. It keeps you going.
Right.
That's why purpose is so important. And then the third thing, so there's love and belonging, purpose, and then respect. You need to respect yourself and get a sense that other people give you a reasonable amount of honor for the good that you try to do. And then 4 is freedom from excessive manipulation.
What do you mean excessive?
Well,
shouldn't it be freedom from manipulation? You can't because you're on Earth. Welcome to planet Earth. People will try to manipulate you. End of discussion. Okay, you're on Earth, and so you can't. If you're so sensitive to say freedom from all manipulation, you better get yourself a cabin somewhere and don't get a cat, okay? Because all right, seriously, all right. So you're gonna have to grow some skin and it's gonna be a little bit thick. So by excessive, I mean if everybody in your inner circle is a manipulator. I mean we manipulate by lying, verbal abuse, physical abuse, threats of abandonment, guilt trips, shame, comparing people to other people. These are all tools that we use to make sure that people do what we want, okay? Not for their benefit, but for ours. A lot of that going on in this society. Yeah, exactly. But if everybody in our inner circle, our family and the friends that we selected, if they're all that immature, then they rob you of your ability to be a grown-up, and we need that, okay? And so that's, again, that's pretty bad. And then the last thing is the hope of positive emotion, which is joy, contentment, awe, gratitude, excitement. We need to know that that's available, so that's why you say no to drugs, because when you do a lot of drugs, you give up a lot of those things, okay? But the second one, the purpose, that's why, you know, with evangelical atheism, where it cuts your throat is now you've just basically said, I'm going to live my life as though there's no point but the point I assign to myself, that there really is no point to my life. That bites you later on in life. And it's my proposition is that it's psychologically unhealthy. And so when I talk about near-death experiences, I mention it in this context. I say, you know, things like near-death experiences and any type of evidence of the spiritual self provides validation that this is real. It's not just that, you know, it's good for you to have a sense of purpose, but you really do. I mean, it's not just, hey, let's do this because it's healthy. You really, objectively do. If God is real, okay, and He really loves you, and you are a product of something like that, and you are, as an individual, He's interested in how you live your life, then each person has an opportunity to actually live out that purpose. And if they are so burdened with guilt and shame, then that works against them. But if they get a sense that they're growing in this area, it helps to undo that. So people who don't believe that there is a higher being or a creator of the big P, then how do they distinguish between the two? I mean, do they live within the little p
Yeah.
as the big P?
Yeah, you don't need a big P.
You know, they live their purpose.
Yeah, you can have
Being the creator of their
You
purpose?
don't need.
Is that their perception?
Well, you just ignore that one. Okay, you ignore that one. You basically you elevate what you do have. You can have people that love you. You don't need God for people to love you.
Right.
Okay, or at least on some level
Right,
to
right.
have affection towards you. Okay, as far as having little P, you can have. There's always
That's the
things to do.
perception. You
Yeah,
don't
well,
need
little P is well, I made these up. It's whatever. You know, but little P is subjective purpose. Like I live because I have to go to work, take care of my family,
Right.
blah blah blah. So it's a reason to live today. It's a reason to get out of bed today. Okay. Respect. You can be an atheist and be respected. Okay. You can, freedom from manipulation. Just pick your friends wisely. Okay, and then fun. You can still have some enjoyment. You know, without where the God factor comes in is specifically with the big P, and you can go a long way in your life without that. But as you get older, life becomes a little bit more sour without that sense of purpose, and all you have in this human life is loss after loss, and it's difficult to deal with for many people. Some people adapt to it. Okay, but my contention is you adapt better if you have a sense of purpose.
Okay. Well, Dr. Guy, thank you so much for sharing this wealth of knowledge and information about near-death experience. And we're going to have to continue this because really we just talked about, we prefaced the beginning. I mean, we prefaced a lot of information that we want to lead to our objective of why we're talking about this topic. And so we will have to, we'll have you back again
Sure.
very soon so that we can continue on this subject matter of evangelical atheism and the difference between the two, why there is so much skepticism with near-death experience and why certain people do not believe it, even understanding it, and do not accept it, and what it relates to with the Supreme Being, regardless of religion. So we really want to get into those areas, and we're going to have to do that when we come back.
Sure.
So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
That will be it with our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll let you know when our Part 2 series will be back. Thanks again.